What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, and CreateSpace. Link will be in the description box below as usual. Go get it. PayPal link there also. They asked me to put it up, so I put it up. Thanks everybody for supporting. But this video is entitled So a Man Wearing a Dress Isn't Toxic Masculinity. Okay. Part of the toxic masculinity definition is a social science term that describes narrow, repressive type of ideas about the male gender role that defines masculinity as exaggerated masculine traits like being violent, unemotional, sexually aggressive, and so forth. Also suggests that men who act too emotional or maybe aren't violent enough or don't do all of the things that real men do can get their man card taken away. Here's the thing. First and foremost, so a man wearing a dress tux, like this dude at the Oscars, got that from Zoe Williams earlier today, isn't toxic. But ask a woman, would she date a man who wears a dress tux? She would say no. Ask a woman if she wants to be married to a man who wears a dress tux. She would say no. Ask a woman if she wants to procreate with a man who wears a dress tux. She would say no, but that's, actions speak louder than words. So being a man in a dress isn't toxic. But being a man is. Okay. See, here's where there's a problem. Because what you're seeing is feminist women, effeminate men, and the gay community tell heterosexual men that they're toxic for being men. Now, the hypocrisy that's woven into this is astounding. You got men, you got feminist women who say men just being men are toxic, while at the same time trying to emulate men and masculine traits and say that they're empowering themselves. See, Wonder Woman will be exhibiting toxic masculinity. Alita, Battle Angel, that should be toxic masculinity, right? All of these women who are wearing power suits and have to be overly aggressive and assertive and cutthroat. They're hyper vigilant. That would be considered toxic masculinity, but if a woman's doing it, it's female empowerment. Now, effeminate guys don't want to be masculine, right? Because being masculine is toxic, right? But the women that these effeminate guys associate themselves with don't find these effeminate guys attractive or manly. So, ironically, they're the ones taking their man card from them. Speaking, and the irony of, the gay community. Being a man is toxic. But men who are attracted to men, somebody's attracted to masculinity. Women who are attracted to women, one of them is attracted to masculinity or the image of masculinity. Because You don't have, these couples always have a, not always, but a majority of the time they have somebody who's portraying the masculine and portraying the feminine. So it's toxic if we doing it and we heterosexual, but it's not toxic if you doing it and you gay. Interesting. Now, the other thing. People haven't asked the question. All of the things that make people toxic. Ironically, toxic masculinity is viewed from women that say men. You know, so you got women judging men about what being a man is, because the majority of men were raised by women. And we ironically see how bad that works out. So what you say, so in some ways you're really saying that women can't raise men. They raise men to be toxic because they take on their feminine traits and ideologies. But you're not going to say that because they're grown men. Patriarchy, you know, take down the patriarchy. Here's a problem with that. Even in the black community. Patriarchy has been the most successful, effective, and efficient way to take care of a society. And that's why I said even in the black community. Because it was patriarchal during Reconstruction. That's why Jim Crow had to fight that. It patriarchal during the black business boom, the Black Wall Street moments. You know, in numerous cities across America. It was a patriarchal thing. Civil rights movement, patriarchal. Black Panthers, patriarchal. The black church was patriarchal. The Nation of Islam, patriarchal. So even the things that were successful in the black community that everybody uses and benefits for themselves to this day, even in our community, were patriarchal. For our success. Now, when you talk about matriarchy, poverty, crime, less ingenuity, less business, less land ownership, property ownership, a more consumer-based family structure. But being a consumer isn't toxic, but being a producer is. That's interesting to me. Very interesting. Because ultimately, what you're not hearing is, you know, masculinity is toxic, but then you're hearing women say, where are all the good men at? Well, they toxic. You know, oh, where are the protectors and providers? Well, see, but you've already said a guy who's a protector exhibits toxic masculinity, so you don't want a protector. He has the propensity to be violent. A provider, see, he could be toxic because he can use his ability to provide as power over you. So that's toxic, the ideology. Now, if that's the case, why aren't women just dating women, effeminate guys, and gay guys? Because if masculinity is so toxic and dressing up in a dress is not toxic, being effeminate is not toxic. You know, being emotional is not toxic as a man, right? Being soft, let's just say that, is not toxic. So not being a protector is not toxic. Not being a provider is not toxic. So how come you women aren't gravitating to the people who aren't toxic? I'm just asking. Because if a man wearing a dress isn't toxic, maybe y'all have a bad idea of what toxic is. But, hey, that's just me. We out. Oh, like, share, and subscribe.